Ranma One Half is probably one of the most influential manga of all time, having popularized many now common manga tropes and conventions with its blend of supernatural gender bending, chaotic character dynamics, and slapstick heavy romantic comedy. I myself have been a huge fan of Ranma One Half ever since I read it as a child, and I still love it to this day. So, when last year they announced a new anime adaptation, I was very excited. By now, the first season has just finished airing, and frankly, it's done a really good job of showing off just what drew so many people to the series in the first place. Classic manga and anime series getting new adaptations has sort of been a recent trend, but Rama One Half's new series isn't necessarily coming out of nowhere. Its creator, Rumiko Takahashi, has sort of had a resurgence recently, with a lot of her biggest works getting new projects. Inuyasha, her big shonen battle manga hit, received a sequel series in Yashahime, and while it wasn't the most warmly received, it did get enough attention to have 2 whole seasons. Then, her first big hit, Urusei Yatsura, received a new adaptation as well, to much greater success. Its outreach was unfortunately stifled due to being exclusive to High Dive, which is a fairly small platform, but it still demonstrated the long-lasting appeal of Takahashi's work and comedy stylings. I watched the new Urusei Yatsura anime, and I really enjoyed it. But I was also hoping that a similar project would materialize for Ranma. It was one of the first of her works to really make it big in the West, and there had been more than enough time since the original had finished for there to be a new one. I couldn't imagine that during what could only be described as a Takahashi renaissance that this series could get passed over. Thankfully, a new anime was announced, with Mappa holding the reins, and it is everything that I could have asked for. This will get me into a little bit of hot water with the older fans, but to be honest, it wasn't just nostalgia driving my desire for a new Ranma anime. The original anime is a classic, and I regard it warmly to this day. However, there's no denying that it was far from faithful. It was full of original stories of varying quality, and added a variety of anime original characters, some of which received a bizarrely large amount of screen time, like the Kuno family ninja, Sasuke. Story arcs were often adapted out of order and had various liberties taken with their storytelling, to the point that I see the original anime as a completely different beast from the manga that it came from. This is a more personal issue, but I also found myself unable to really vibe with the original anime's art style. It wasn't bad in a vacuum, but it lacked the charm and character of Takahashi's style, especially when it came to things like the character's facial expressions. Her artwork isn't technically impressive, but it does have an appeal of its own, and I wanted the anime to demonstrate that. The good news is that the new anime has delivered, at least so far. We've only got 12 episodes, which only covers a very small portion of the original series, but what we've got has been great. Mappa as a studio certainly has its issues, but they always put out good work, and Ranma One Half is no exception. It takes a lot of stylistic influences from David Productions' version of Urusei Yatsura, what with the colorful palettes and copious use of visual onomatopoeia, but there are also a lot of amazing animated fight scenes that only a renowned studio like Mappa could do. The artwork is a lot closer to Takahashi's style as well, to the point that they're essentially bringing a lot of the original manga panels to life, and the return of much of the original Japanese voice cast really helps to give that new series that extra bit of legitimacy. The most important thing to me, however, is that the new anime is much more faithful to the manga than the previous adaptation was. There are still a lot of new additions here and there, of course, mostly to embellish certain scenes or to establish character dynamics more firmly. However, the new anime is doing a much better job of adapting the manga's charm into animation, even in the most minor of ways, and I really appreciate it. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not a guy that always wants all adaptations to be super faithful to their originals. I can accept some creative liberties and even a complete revamp if the new idea is worth exploring and can stand apart from the source material. But I'm also a realist, and I know that most people that watch anime, even people that become fans of that anime, don't then go back to read the manga, even if there's unadapted content. There are a lot of people that are missing out on a lot of great moments and hilarious stories in Ranma because they only watch the anime. A more faithful anime adaptation could go a long way in introducing these stories not just to new fans, but to old ones as well. Having said that, I don't expect a full manga adaptation from Mappa. It's simply too much content even if we skip a lot of the inessential 1 to 2 chapter stories, many of which I adore. Urusei Yatsura, as an example, only got 46 episodes for its new adaptation, despite being only a little shorter than Ranma. While Urusei Yatsura also has a higher ratio of inessential stories, there is still a very high chance that Ranma will receive a similar amount for its adaptation, which unfortunately is not enough to adapt the majority of the manga even if we focus on essential stories. Still, that's likely going to be the strategy for this new anime series, which is a shame because Ranma is at its best as a genre-hopping anthology. Whether it be martial arts matches, heart-stopping romance, or back-breaking comedy, Ranma 1/2's best strength has always been its ability to tell any kind of story due to the strength of its characters and their dynamics. However, I think this is a case where we just can't have our cake and eat it too. It'd probably take over 100 episodes to fully adapt Ranma 1/2, something that just wouldn't happen in today's anime ecosystem. A compromise is almost certainly inevitable. Having said that, even if the new Ranma 1/2 anime never gets to fully adapt the manga, I'm still satisfied with what we've got so far. The first season probably covers the most restrained and grounded parts of the manga, but it still became incredibly popular and gained a lot of traction in the anime community. I'm sure a lot of new Ranma 1/2 fans were born over the last few months, and if even one of them decides to check out the original manga, I will be more than happy. Still holding out on an adaptation of Ranma's best arcs, but I'll take what I can get. Thanks for watching. This video was sort of a rush job, and I didn't even think I'd talk about Ranma until I finished off that first season. It really was fantastic, and it essentially motivated me to go and reread through the entire manga yet again. If they can maintain this level of quality, I think the next few years are going to be great for Ranma fans. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you want to see more of my content, and I'll see you next time.